expense on these things has to get to a percentage of what we really think we can sell them for?
No, matter of fact, ours looks pretty compared to some Detroit did.
Really?
Back and, yeah, if you look at the naked eye and you see what it costs to build them to what you sell them for, it's not pretty, but, you know, HUD's, they're there to stabilize neighborhoods. They want to give low to moderate income, qualified individuals, opportunities for ownership. So it's like that in every community that gets these grants. It's never a moneymaker. And even if they did buy them for 160, we would see nothing in our general fund anyway. It's all programming.
No, I know, it's still taxpayer dollars being
Sure.
spent with no return.
That was one of the first things I was told when I was.
This is a crazy example though.
Yeah, we get our,
I just don't know why you don't build something smaller, or build something more in line with what.
We're trying to. We're doing some value engineering to get the cost down. It's the Davis-Bacon portion that really drives it up. You know, you're paying. We're going to take street posts out to pay an electrician. What's a union electrician's rate? 70, 80 bucks an hour. So that's really driven the cost up. You know, if this was Davis-Bacon, you're probably looking in the 500s. So it drives it up that much. And at the state level, they're trying to repeal prevailing wage. This is federal, but I mean, it just it does give workers apples to apples as far as what they earn, but it's prohibitive for a municipality to do projects because it costs so much money to finish a project.
and the first one, we didn't have to pay that, correct?
No, first one was not prevailing wage, and it was still quite expensive. We were still upside down.
Jeff, do you recall on the design, what were the fees that we paid to have these units designed?
Sarnacki was paid, this is years ago, it's over $50,000 to come up with these prints.
That's one of the reasons, to Councilman Becerra's point about, you know, redesigning them, it just gets into the cost recovery, and if we designed a smaller footprint, you'd have to have all new engineering done, it'd have to go back through the planning process, and you're probably looking at $50,000 to $75,000 of additional expense.
And go back to planning.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked to Laura Fell, and she's given us some ideas where she can administratively approve them, going through planning. And those are some of the things we brought up. Some of the windows were rich, we went to slider windows, get rid of patio slabs and putting. It's just nickel and diming though.
Right. No, I mean, the idea is to provide low-income housing. Do you build
Yeah, it's always
one at
there.
180 or two at 90 or three at 60? I mean, we could provide more housing if we weren't
Right.
spending so much on each individual unit and turn around and sell it for a third of what we paid for it.
They actually did
That
that,
is an argument for
No,
last
no,
10 years.
you brought that up.
but with planning, they
It's
have to
just
be.
now that we're voting on this tomorrow, it's back
They have to
the
be somewhat
forefront.
uniform to what's already there as well, or planning would.
Gotcha.
As well.
I understand.
I think this is one of those projects that if we could have a reset button and hit it and start over, we'd look at this whole project very differently.
Well, I mean, in all due fairness, as no criticism of anybody, we inherited this. We have to develop it.
I think this was bought at the
2009.
last minute because they had to spend the money.
Yes, they actually used NSP grant funds to tear down 3 schools, and they purchased Pinewood.
Because they didn't have a plan in place, and they had to spend money fast, otherwise they'd lose it.
Yeah, so now we're kind of stuck there developing, and once, you know, we've planned to do this last 4 unit on NSP purchase property, then we can close our NSP grant. And then even, you know, with the 4 units, the program income from there we can use towards other projects that meet the home guidelines in the future. So
Speaking of that grant, and they tore down those school properties, it was brought up in the newspaper that they're looking at the dog park and that. So that's got to be is that the city approves that, or is the school approve that? Or does HUD approve that?
Well, if I could interject for 1 second, we have had absolutely no dialogue with the school district about this concept. I don't know who has, if anyone has for that matter.
Right. Well, that's what I'm asking. I don't know who would approve it. I mean, we got the program for it. It's school property.
There's restrictions with,
Yeah.
you know, that you can't build permanent structures, that property can't be sold, there's a lot of limitations, but I'm not sure that the school district's even remotely interested in this concept, as we have not approached them on it.
yes, any use of those properties is bound by NSP.
Right,
It has to meet a
that's
national
public use.
objective. And That's kind of how I slid in that Snyder remark earlier, we cannot, it would have to be for something that would benefit low to moderate income families.
And I don't know if a dog park benefits low to moderate income families.
It would be argued by HUD. And if you're not compliant, then you have to pay the demolition costs
Right.
back, and that was a big cost,
Oh, yeah, that
so.
was,
But
Taylor Center was huge.
we, yeah.
What's the general payment terms? You mentioned spending 130, that is mean spend? I mean, we actually have to cut checks for 130 grand?
Yeah, that would be achieved simply through lumber, and, window packages would easily meet that.
Oh, that's gonna be
Yeah, and then
ordered,
digging your
delivered,
foundations,
and-
yep. We, that was the biggest issue that we kind of drilled each contractor on, was the time sensitivity. And really, that's why we went with the two finalists, and the one we brought forward was, they had the capacity to meet that.
Madam Chair? If there's nothing else, I know that we do have a closed